Hey, what's up? Mickey Pigs here, and you clicked on this video to find out the truth. So let's get into it. So the world is run by powerful people known as the elite. We know this already. They own the central banks of every country in the world, except for two: Iran and North Korea. In the year 2000, there were two more countries on that list: Libya and Iraq. But what happened to them? Well, on September the 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers went down. Under George Bush's administration, the Middle East was to blame, namely Al-Qaeda. So on the 20th of March 2003, the invasion of Iraq started by American forces and allies to put a stop to terrorism. But that was the normal excuse. Then people started digging in and thinking it's about oil. But what exactly happened in the shadows? During the entire invasion and war and taking down Saddam Hussein, the elite formed a new central bank, taking control of everything in Iraq. So what really happened? Let's recap. The elite family pays people off to take down Twin Towers. George Bush blames Al-Qaeda. America then invades Iraq, Saddam Hussein dies, and there's a new central bank. Meaning the family got what they wanted. A well-played strategy, well-planned, nobody saw it. Maybe a few people, but nobody really knew. What about Libya, Mickey Pigs? What happened there? Well, so Gaddafi ran Libya very well and placed the idea of uniting Africa under one currency in the form of gold, and this would have affected the economy of the entire world because most trades in Africa go towards outside Africa, not within itself. So somebody had to put a stop to that. Someone had to stop him before it was too late. That was the hidden agenda. But the media tried to control the masses and depict him as a tyrant and an evil dictator that needed to be killed or needed to be stopped, just like Saddam Hussein. And there are groups in this world that fight for peace, namely NATO. But every man has a price. By the way, NATO is an organized coalition of various countries to fight for peace and intervene where there are evil things. But certain members of NATO were bought over and started the intervention in Libya on March 19, 2011. Gaddafi and his supporters were sanctioned and opposing groups were backed by NATO. So what happened before that? What really happened? Well, there was a civil war and a bit of a struggle to determine the future of the country. But Gaddafi had run the country well and everybody knew that. Tensions grew higher and Gaddafi was murdered by a mob of people stabbing him multiple times, and the elite got their bank and the wrong man died for it. This is where it gets interesting. America's election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton was so crucial to the world, but people don't really know what level they voted on. Like, yeah, everybody says Trump would have built a wall and he's racist and end the world. But before we get into this, let me just discuss relations between countries to you. Namely, three countries in specific: Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Iran and Saudi Arabia are massive exporters of energy to the world, to Europe, to you name it. This is oil, this is energy, this is gas, you name it. In the business world, that makes them competitors. They are at truce, but due to the whole ISIS, the tensions are high. The relations between Saudi Arabia and Russia are there at the standstill. They're at a truce, meaning no fight, no nothing. They're not exactly allies. Don't like each other, and the history is there between the two, but they are at a truce. Now, Iran and Russia. Iran is Russia's main ally, meaning alongside Syria, China, and Belarus, they are all allies. Also, Iran exports energy cheaper to Russia than Saudi Arabia does to Russia, meaning obviously we're going to buy from, if you're Russian, you're buying from Iran, you're not buying from Saudi Arabia. But what does this have to do with Donald Trump and the elections, you ask? Well, apparently North Korea hacked or attacked Sony, and Obama said...
The FBI announced today that, and we can confirm that North Korea engaged in this attack.
So Iran was blamed for nuclear weapons, where Obama said...
Inspectors will monitor Iran's key nuclear facilities 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
So that means, according to everything we know, nuclear weapons and hacking from North Korea and Iran are being watched constantly. We still don't know what Trump has to do with it. Trump is a patriotic American, and a businessman, using numbers and money to define his decision. He has his own money backing him. Clinton, however, doesn't. After receiving a $150 million loan from Saudi Arabian prince, whose name I'm not going to mention, to fund her campaign, a small investment, and a supposedly smart one, because she was to win. The numbers said she would win. That's why they invested in it. $150 million loan. How was Clinton going to pay that back? Was Clinton going to pay for the savings and wages each month? No. Probably not. Or be corrupt and steal taxpayers' money to pay back the loan? It's a possibility. Or as President of the USA, pushing for an invasion on Iran, Saudi Arabia's loan gets paid back in the form of an invasion and getting rid of a competitor, meaning they can start setting prices because they're closer to monopoly. Americans see America and Clinton fighting terrorism, and then Clinton pays back her loan, meaning it's a win-win situation for the Saudi Arabians and the Americans. Ring-a-ding-ding. Why did I mention Russia? A small percentage of Russian GDP comes from Iran. And, as I mentioned earlier, they get their energy cheaper this way. But mainly it's a signed treaty. So, Putin has to intervene. But there's one huge step back to all of this. Donald Trump won. But screw you, Mickey Pigs. Donald Trump is a loser. True. He is. Do you know why you hate Trump? Is it because he said build a wall? No, it's because the media tells you to hate him. Because Twitter and Facebook tells you to hate him. And guess who owns the media? You guessed it. But he said build a wall, Mickey Pigs. Basically, he meant all the illegal immigrants. I mean, if you are doing something illegally, you should be stopped. And within 48 hours of Donald Trump becoming president, both Russia and Syria have reached out to America to make peace and maybe possibly befriend and become allies with the United States. Quick recap of what would have happened. Saudi Arabia paid Clinton. The elite tell Clinton to invade Iran. Iran gets sanctioned and invaded. Saudi Arabia increases oil prices to Europe and Russia. Russia's GDP goes down a bit and starts going into recession. Europe starts going into recession. The elite create their central bank in Iran. Saudi Arabians push into Europe and start invading or colonizing. America and the newly formed Europe goes into war with Russia and China. Russia and China lose. Big nuclear war. Trump stood in and said, nope, the elite's plan is foiled. Clinton's plot failed. Has to pay back the money same way. Saudi Arabians can't push for the overpricing of energy to Europe and Russia. Iran stays safe for a bit longer until the family finds another way to invade them. And the world stays the same. Trump was a key point in saving the world. Now, everything that I've said is just small basic outline of the whole picture. I can go into deeper things, and yes, it does go into deeper things, more complex things. So if you want more, just leave a comment down in the section. But you can do a lot of research. Peace out.